absolute banger. I will not lie.
It really was. Really was. All right, let's jump in.
Oh yeah.
Hello and welcome to this episode of Star Wars Generations Podcast. Today, myself and Alex are here to talk about Maul, Shadow Lord, episodes 3 and 4, and we are opening with a hard-hitting question. Two Boots, the droid, is he a narc or a snitch? I think he's more of a snitch.
I don't know, man. He had multiple chances to stand down. I think he's a narc.
I mean, like they're both cops, and ACAB is in effect here as much as is anywhere else. But
Well,
I guess just to me, like narc is like, you're being a cop when you're supposed to be with your friends, which like cops are always cops. But here, it's not about being a cop. It's about he's snitching to the higher authorities, the Empire, instead of letting the cop be a cop. Like
Well,
ACAB's
Matthew,
still here. Like they're both cops.
let
But
me ask you, Matthew. Are all cops narcs or are no cops narcs?
I mean, yeah, I think cops are by definition narcs. Like that's the whole point. A narc is someone who's not. I should have said this better before. A narc is someone who like you're hanging out with your friends and just someone's doing something that like, okay, maybe it's a bit shady, but like, it's not like really harming anyone, and they're
Sure.
going to go rat you out to the teacher or something like that. That's a narc. Like a snitch is when some like real stuff goes down, but like when someone shows up, you're still going to talk to the police.
That's fair as well. Either way, he pissed me off.
He did. I understand where you're coming from. I want to, though, admit my own personal failure. And granted, you failed a little bit at this as well, but it was mostly me and Erin because we had first shot at the episodes last week. And I realized there were two things going on that we should have called attention to. First of all, the name of the person who was the head of the rival gang that our short king took out. Do you remember what his name was?
No, I already forgot.
Everyone called him Demas. But his full name was Nico Demas, as in Nicodemus, as in one of the many names for like the devil and stuff like that.
That's brutal.
And it doesn't seem any worse, but I'm like, okay, guys, I see what you did there. The other thing, though, we are so in love with Sam Witwer for very good reason that I think it's hard sometimes to remember all the other great voice actors. But have you recognized the voice actor for Uncle Dacky, the Jedi Master?
No.
What if he were to ask you, are you in good hands with Allstate?
No way.
That's him. That is him.
Actually hilarious.
Oh, wait, I had his name. I should probably say his name.
I thought, I'll be honest with you, Matthew, thinking about voice actors.
Stop, because I want to put the name in.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, I had this looked up and then. Yeah, so that is Dennis Haysbert, who's done a lot of things. He's been in a lot of productions, but probably most people know him as one of the voices of Allstate Insurance.
That's actually wild. I did not know that was him.
Yeah.
I went down a rabbit hole though because I was wrong, but I listening to Mark Krim talk, I was like, is that Mark Hamill? He said it just like Mark Hamill. It is not Mark Hamill. It is the same voice actor that played Mark Krim in the Clone Wars episodes, which is Steven Stanton, who is a renowned voice actor. He also played young Tarkin. He voices many different characters, kind of just auxiliary characters, but I was convinced that it was Mark Hamill and I was wrong. So,
I mean, I think there's two things there. One is that it is hard to tell voice actors apart sometimes. We're focused on the visuals and stuff like that. But the other thing is, Mark Hamill is fairly definitional in sort of like creating the modern art of voice acting. He's by no means the first, the original. There's some very incredible ones before him and a lot of other incredible ones after him. But there's a certain vocal style that he has helped to define that I think a lot of other people have mimicked to some extent, whether intentionally or unintentionally.
Agreed.
In the same way that, like, every kind of tough guy actor is to some extent like influenced by John Wayne and Humphrey Bogart and stuff like that.
Sure, yeah.
So yeah, it's. I have definitely had others where I was like, "Is that Mark Hamill?" No, okay, no, it's not.
Because he also Mark Hamill loves to just sneak into random little like voice
He does, yeah.
auxiliary characters. It's like, wait a minute, that was Mark Hamill just as a random character.
Yeah, no, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. All right, so let's talk about this episode. And I think I really got to focus on. There's a lot of good stuff to talk about, but for me, the heart and soul of this, and where it just blows me away, in the best way of like what the Acolyte gave us and what I want more to give us, is getting to watch in real time a seduction to the dark side. Because what Maul is doing of bringing Devin in, like we've joked about this before, but I've said that like I think the Emperor, other than Anakin, is generally really bad at convincing people to join the dark side. In part because he says, hey, look at this trap. Look at this trap. Don't you want to step in it? Give in to your anger. And of course, Luke is like, oh, so I shouldn't give in to my anger. Good tip. Thanks. There's some kind of like, and Palpatine did that again with some others, but with, in terms of what the Stranger did in Acolyte, in terms of what we saw Sidious trying to do, and especially here, what we see Maul do with Devin, he never does that. He just gently prods her anger. And he forces her to question things. Like just these first couple lines at the start hit me so hard, where, you know, he first says, I can tell that you are settled on who you believe I am. Would you like me to be that person? I am capable.
That line also hit me hard.
Like he's saying, like, look, I can be the villain if you want. I can be the boogeyman that the Jedi told you I was, but that's not me. And then later because again, it's not that he says, no, I am not like you because I am going to take care of you. He just offers to take care of her. And when she's surprised, then he says, I suppose concern about your well-being doesn't fit with what you've been told about me. But I invite you to look more closely.
I mean, Maul is such like, that's why I love the characters. He's so refined. You listen to him and you're almost like, wait a minute, like, is he like sane? Like, is he right? Like he's one of those characters that really convinces you, like if I were, in the shoes of Devin or any of the other, or Ezra or any of the other Jedi that have been tempted by him, I would be far more persuaded than Maul than by like Palpatine. I'm not gonna lie, it took Palpatine essentially 15 years, give or take, to turn Anakin. Maul is making quick work of these people. He is convincing them to at least give him a chance in a matter of minutes.
Yeah. No, it's very different. I think because he's looking at what they're angry about and what they're upset about. And he does just such a good job of needling her about like, oh, I'm sure your master would be so proud of you if you killed me, things like that.
And that whole scene, Matthew, was honestly like where like that conversation's happening. First, it's very like, I'm making Cassius tea or sit together. And then it like goes on to like, she grabs the red lightsaber and it's totally dark and like the flashes. It just felt very like, I don't know, like foreboding, foreshadowing. You could see her anger and like she kept like resisting it. Like, and we talked about this last week where like you were a little afraid of like, her just kind of giving in too quickly. And I'm like, oh, I don't think she's gonna give in too quickly. Like, I would not be surprised if she does not fully turn until like the 8th or 9th episode, or even maybe like the very end. I don't know.
Yeah, I think especially knowing that we already have a season 2, I think we're not going to really see her as, assuming she becomes Darth Talon, which I think is a fair assumption, but by no means assured. I think we're mostly going to see that in season 2, and this is really the origin story.
Agreed. Hard agree.
And you talked about that, like, is he insane or what? And I think part of it is that he is 100% sincere. He never lies. He never says any, like, he is manipulating her to be 100% true, but everything he says, he believes is true. And I see this even more with his conversation with Lawson, the cop later, where he's like, you and I should unite against the Empire. He may well be planning to screw the guy over later. That's certainly on the table. But I think he 100% is like, look, the Empire is awful and terrible. Darth Sidious is awful and terrible. Why don't you people want to work with me against this?
Yeah.
And then Devin's like, well, you're a murderer. And he's like, well, whatever. We do what we have to survive. Like, he genuinely doesn't seem to understand that he's the bad guy.
I don't think he does. I think he continues to think he's the main character.
Yeah.
He's like, who cares? Like, why does it matter?
Right. And like the way he says it, of like, don't we all do what we have to survive? Like she was talking about that they should do some stealing to survive. And for him, it's like, what's the difference? And of course, for her, there's this big line between like, stealing some fruit and murder. But he's kind of pointing out, like, is there? I mean, I think there is, but like, why is that?
And to be fair, I mean, like, everyone knows I defend Anakin, so I might as well defend Maul a little bit here. He does make a somewhat valid point of like, the Sith killed my mother, the Sith killed my brother. Now he is very much like, manipulating that a little bit, like, but it is true. Like, the Sith took everything from him and cast him aside. And so like, he probably genuinely believes that he is the victim in every situation. And he just does what he has to do to survive. And that is completely valid in his brain because he was, Palpatine tried to murder him multiple times. He was cast aside. Everything's been taken from him. Why shouldn't he do whatever he has to do to survive if everyone does whatever they want to do to him?
Yeah. Well, I think the way he framed that especially was so telling. Like you said, he says, they killed my brother. They killed my mother. And yes, Mother Talzin was just kind of doing her own thing. And they sent like the droid army and Grievous. Yeah, they kind of tried to take out Dooku, but fair enough. But like they sent the droids and all them to Dathomir to wipe them out.
Mm-hmm.
Palpatine had no desire to kill Savage, though, his brother. They went to Sidious and tried to kill him. And Sidious fought back and killed the brother and let Maul live because he was going to use him.
I'm going to have to correct you, Matthew.
Okay, go ahead.
Sidious did get on a shuttle himself and fly to Mandalore to fight them. Sidious went
no,
to
you're right.
them.
You're right. Yeah, I'm thinking of the later.
I know what you're thinking of. I think that Sidious' intention though was to kill Savage just to make Maul suffer. It was not like
100%.
Yeah, it was not like I need to kill Savage. It was just this is a useless pawn. Let me kill him to make Maul miserable.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I take that back. That's not the example I thought it was, but there definitely is that element. Yeah, he's crazy in that kind of way of he has a frame of understanding the situation and every fact is going to be twisted to fit that. But the fact is a lot of facts already do. He's one of the only people who knows that this Emperor Palpatine who's claiming to do everything for the good of the people is Darth Sidious. And he knows so many things and no one will listen to him.
Mm-hmm. And it probably makes it feel crazy, honestly. And like he just wants someone to believe him. And I don't know, man. I think that I really think that like Maul is just he like his manipulations, while they frustrate me about being like, similar like I've expressed in the past, they seem to be very effective.
Yeah. No, I think I fully believe that Devin may well fall to the dark side, as already kind of.
Well, I'm curious if like Maul is going to kill her master, if she's going to end up killing her master. Like, I'm really curious how that because she seems very loyal to her master. I'm just like wondering where that eventually falls apart.
Yeah, that's a good point. I was curious about that, especially because we talked about how in last week's episodes, we saw her being taken away and her master didn't try to stop it. Her master said, like, just, the police, the justice system will work. Just trust it, which, major eye roll. We saw her have this moment where she's watching and looks upset that instead of trying to save her, he tries to save these people on the bridge, which, I understand where he's coming from. Needs of the many outweigh the needs of the one, but still to her, it feels like, he's saving random strangers as opposed to her. I figured they were building up a major resentment there. It didn't come out in all these episodes, but I certainly think it's going to be stirring beneath the surface there. And I think that there may be another situation like that. And that's kind of what breaks her and makes her turn against her master in some way.
Yeah, I actually low-key would be interested. I mean, similar to Acolyte, if she ends up killing her master herself.
Mm-hmm. Master Adaki, yeah. I think it's certainly it's well within the realm of possibility. I don't think it's assured. I think Maul might kill him. I think someone else might kill him. I think they like to do misdirects. I think it's possible that Daki falls. I don't think it's likely by any means. We haven't seen anything to prove it, but I'm just saying I think it's dangerous to assume anything in terms of which way these characters are going to go.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I just like to make guesses and then be proven wrong.
Yeah. Now, one of the cool thing I noticed, the fight scenes were great, and normally I'm
Oh,
like, okay, it's a cool fight scene. I don't think of them as developing plot so often, but sometimes they do. Did you notice that when he was fighting her by himself, he had one hand behind his back?
oh yeah. Which is like just I mean just super disrespectful. First of all, it's just like
Yeah.
you're nothing. Like I'm only gonna give you one hand, and also like Dooku used to do that often when he would fight
Mhm.
Anakin. And you could tell like when things got serious when Dooku would put his second hand on his saber.
Yeah,
And I think that the similar vibe with Maul here is it's like I'm fighting with half of my lightsaber with one hand.
right. When he takes out the pikes, that's when he puts the two sides together.
Oh, the murder of Krim. It harkened back to like episode 8,
Mhm.
when Kylo ignites the lightsaber and kills Snoke, and I just was like, just the swiftness of like the turning the lightsaber on, flips around, basically cuts him in half, or more or less, it's only
Right.
cut him in half, but it's like, damn, bro, Maul just like he's not just savage, but he's got finesse, he got style.
Yeah, he's the drama queen that Anakin wants to be. Like everything he does, he has riz, he has style points on them. And the one thing I'll say though is we I don't know if he ever like gave a coup de grace, but like I have no reason to think Krim is dead, and Maul shouldn't either, because we certainly know being bisected at the waist is not a death sentence in this world.
I feel like it is more the death sentence in animation than it is in live action.
Yes. Well, and also part of the idea is that the hate of the dark side is what kept Maul alive. But
Right.
like that's a very deliberate shot. You don't show someone getting bisected in a Maul show exactly the way that Kenobi did to him without there being some intention behind it.
Fair. I don't think he's gonna come back though. I think it's definitely, in my opinion, just a death because I think that was just a plot device to kind of move forward like
I think so.
his control of the pikes, I guess. But um I
Well, can I just say one more thing on
yes,
Lawson?
yes.
Just again, because to me, it's the hand behind the back. All of it is kind of showing like he's willing to fight her, but there are numerous times where he could kill her and he doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
He's basically just kind of fighting her to indulge her. And one thing I love is that, he set up this whole like, I don't know, can you escape? And in her mind, she steals a lightsaber. She does all this stuff. She fights him, and now she's going to get away. And when he just says, "I'm going to need that back, Devin," as the lightsaber, to me, it so clearly shows like, I let you borrow that so that we could have our little fun time of fighting. But you were never in control. You never actually stole that from me. Everything is playing out exactly as I've foreseen it, to quote another Sith. To me, that was just such a power move in such a good way.
Yeah, I agree. And I mean I think that did she actually say her name at any point?
Uh, I think so. Yeah, I think that he says like, I would like to know your name, and she says it.
Okay, because I forgot that she had said it, and I was like, did he like peer into her mind, or like I don't know, But either way, I agree with you, Matthew. I think that like, and you could see that like when eventually in the next episode when he fought both of them together, he was very much like dual blade, two handed. He was struggling,
Yeah.
a little bit in the fight, and it really pissed him off that he was struggling. I think, but also like he ended up injuring. I still can't remember the master's name. What is the master's name?
He's got Master Daki.
Master, yeah, Daki. Thank you. He injured Daki the most with a kick.
Yeah.
Like not even his lightsaber, which I thought was a little interesting. And but as Maul was escaping, he's like, trying to hit his robotic leg, and like he's just like pissed that like this Daki character's in the way. And I honestly wouldn't be surprised, like, if I had to make a out of not out of left field, but a larger prediction is the Empire is now here, Matthew. Literally the next episode name is like Inquisitor or Inquisitation, something with the word Inquisit. I think the Inquisitor is going to pull up and they're going to stumble on Daki and Devin, and probably Daki's going to sacrifice himself to save Devin. Devin's going to go on a rage hate bend, kill the Inquisitor, and then Maul's going to just be there and be like, "Yep, welcome to the dark side."
Yeah, I'm proud of you. I could see that. I was thinking a little different of that Maul might help rescue Devin, and that
Ooh,
but either way, I think there's definitely going to be a, you know,
that would be
Maul sort of using the Inquisitors to be like, I'm not the Jedi and I'm not them.
that would be so on the nose with the Ezra thing too, though. Like all the Inquisitors pull up, and Maul's just like, "Let's fight them together. I'm on your side," and then he attacks
Yeah.
Kanan. It would be so actually it'd be kind of funny if like not funny, but it'd be interesting if he does that, kills Daki that way, and then thinks that like he could do that again with Kanan, and that's why he tries that with Kanan down the road and fails.
I mean, yeah, like often I don't want things to just repeat, especially
Neither
with
do I.
people, but I think you're really onto something there in that if he does something and it works, then of course he would think to try it again with Kanan and Ezra. Yeah, I think that's a totally great idea. So let's move on to our wonderful cop. Again, not an on the nose name, with the cop with a troubled son named Lost Son. Do we just have lacrosse in the Star Wars universe now? Like, they never named the sport his son was playing, but he was running carrying a stick that looked an awful lot like a lacrosse stick.
Oh, it looked like a cross stick or like those. I don't know what the hell it's called, but did you ever play as a kid with those little like you hold it and it's just a little half circle arc and you would throw the ball back and forth?
Yeah, it's called lacrosse.
No, there's something else.
I mean, I think there's like a like kind of like there's like what I think I know what you're talking about, and I always thought it was like the way wiffle ball is to baseball.
That could be it. Crescent plus. I don't even know what the heck. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna look it up. Ball thrower. Yeah. Okay. It's called scoop ball.
Okay.
Is what the thing I'm thinking of is called. So it looks like a cross between scoop ball and lacrosse.
Yeah.
According to the internet,
scoop ball is directly related to lacrosse, serving as a simplified backyard recreational version of the sport.
and in our lovely show Maul, it is called Botekin,
Okay.
which is the galactic version of lacrosse. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Also, I think the kid's in high school, and they must be in like the Bodekin equivalent of Texas and Friday Night Lights, because that's a full stadium they've got. Like, that's not
That is a full stadium.
300 kids and their parents sitting in the bleachers rooting on the high school team. That is everyone in this town, you know, is coming to root for, which you know, high school athletics can be great, support it, but that is Friday Night Lights Texas style, because that was a big stadium.
And Lawson just like gets access to like the I know there's a cop, but gets access to the field basically. I was like, okay.
I did roll my eyes a little bit about him having to be pulled away, because it is just such a cliche of like the cop balancing his life with the his personal life with his professional life. One thing though, I rewatched episodes 1 and 2 to kind of get ready for this, I hadn't caught before, is that his ex-wife works for the Empire.
Yes, I picked up on that.
At one point, it's like, is that part of why you have this hostility?
Yeah, and I'm curious, like, what her role in the Empire is. I'm sure that we're gonna probably like get a scene at some point where like she's come there to like help on the, you know, the mission to find Maul, and maybe she's ISB or something. That could be a very fun, awkward family reunion scene. Do you think we're gonna get? I mean, we're definitely gonna get an Inquisitor. I think, like, for sure. Do you think there's a cameo of any kind with Maul? Maul, Vader, Palpatine, Tarkin, any of like the big Imperial hitters, or Yularen and ISB? Like,
I think possibly Yularen. I think for canon wise, it can't be. I think canon wise, it can't be Vader, because we've already kind of established that like he knew Anakin, he fought against Anakin, and later, you know, in Rebels, he sort of like makes the connection of figuring out who Vader is. And so I you know, to me that would get kind of into the problems of the Kenobi show of like, I don't want things kind of stuck in the middle of that relationship that make it more confused.
Well, didn't Maul figure it out at the end of the Clone Wars? Because he was the one that was like, you don't see what Anakin's going to become. I have to kill him.
Right, but I don't think he realized who that it was Vader himself. Like, I think he knew something was going to happen with Anakin.
Well, I think he knew that it was Palpatine's prized people, and I think Maul still maybe wants to kill him, but I don't know.
Either way, the point is, there's clearly so much mystery from Maul that having
Yes.
them meet, to me, I think, and as well as we don't need to bring in Vader, but I think Tarkin is a possibility. I think Yularen is a better possibility.
Yeah.
Um,
Palpatine on a hologram would make sense to me too. It
Here's
would
my
not
question:
bother
who do you
me
get
if.
to voice Palpatine then?
What do you mean?
I mean, we've had like 4 different people do a very good job voicing Palpatine in animation.
I was bringing, Ian McDermott's still alive. Let him do it.
I mean, he's one of the people who did it, and he's only done it much more recently. But like, get Tim Curry, you could get so many people.
You could get a lot of people, and I think it would be. Again, I don't want to see Palpatine show up in person necessarily.
Yeah,
But like a brief under 30-second hologram transmission, or like, if there's like a pan to like, Palpatine back on Coruscant, like with an Inquisitor Yularen reporting back, and like Palpatine just like frowning that Maul is still alive or something. I think it would just be like, I'm thinking, I guess he knows he's alive, but like, I think it'd be interesting to see like a little reaction from Palpatine on his former apprentice wreaking this havoc. And I don't want anything major, but I think just a smidge would be really satisfying.
possible.
I like my cameos. What can I say?
So here's my question about Lawson: should he have teamed up with Maul? I feel nuts just saying that. But Maul is saying like, we don't want the Empire here. The Empire is going to make things worse. We know that the planet has these like crime gangs already. If he says like, let me kind of run the crime, and I'll keep the Empire away from you. We'll work together to keep the Empire away from this planet.
It sounds so nice on the surface, but we all know that like, it's kind of like the classic, like, the mob deals between the mob and the police in New York in the, in the 20s and stuff. And
I mean, the one that came to me was like when the U.S. Army worked with the mob to drive the Nazis out of Sicily.
Yeah, but I just don't know, like, if Lawson and people are enough, like, they don't have enough control. The U.S. Army eventually could have, like, probably taken out the mob to some level. Like, I don't think if Lawson really wanted to, could really take out Maul. He's too, like, nimble and strategic. I think that, like, I think they both need each other in a way of, like, Maul doesn't want to keep dealing with this headache, and Lawson doesn't want to deal with the Empire.
Yeah.
I just think it would have ended up blowing up in Lawson's face because Maul would have betrayed him at some point. We've seen Maul betray people who are not 100% loyal to him, and even if they are, he kind of just like, die well. You've done your part. He leaves Mandalorians to die. He just looks out for himself at the end of the day, and I would not be surprised if like Lawson jumped with him and he just left him to die. So I don't think Lawson really like lost anything majorly except for time with the Empire being off his planet.
I think you're probably right. I think that there is Maul is a murderer, Maul is a killer, Maul is a villain. I don't think there's any question of that. But I do think that Maul is right, in terms of he understands what the true problem is right now. And everything else kind of fades in the face of that. And there's some extent to which I have sympathy for him. And I kind of want someone like Lawson to work with him. And I think it's still on the table somewhat. I don't think it's going to happen. I think you're right that it would eventually definitely not work out for Lawson. But the quickness with which he rejected it, I think made sense for Lawson's character. And I appreciate that Maul was like, you're a man of honor. I appreciate that. Die well. But I wouldn't mind if Lawson gets further tempted by that as well.
Which eventually, like, honestly, would not surprise me if, like, as the Empire pulls up and his ex-wife is here, and things get testier, if Lawson goes back to Maul and says, okay, like, let's make a deal to try to drive the Empire out, or... Okay, Lawson's going to have to pick a side here, and it's going to kind of come down to, like, does he side with his wife and the Empire and become even more of a freaking cop, like double down on being a cop, or does he, work with Maul, drive the Empire away, take those other steps to... more or less free his planet? Does he join the rebellion by like running away, or not? There's no rebellion yet, but like, does he try and rebel by like joining up with the Jedi more? Like, he seems like a Jedi sympathizer.
Mm-hmm. I think it's possible.
He's very hard to read.
Yeah. So this brings me to the other character who's a big part in this. Two Boots.
Narc.
We joked that, he's a narc, he's a snitch, whatever you want to call him. My question, though, is why? Because I think there's two ways we can read his character, and a lot of it has to do with how much independence of thought droids have.
Mm.
There's been like a wide variety of that. And I think, you get someone like 3PO who, like, he has to follow his protocol. It wouldn't be proper to do this. He can't translate something into this from the Sith language. Like, there are things that it's just supposed to do. And I can believe Two Boots is someone who just, he has to follow the rule. The Empire is supposed to be told what is happening. And he just, like, it short circuits him to think that I'm not going to follow that protocol that's programmed into me. The other way to see it is that he genuinely thinks, like Lawson, that he wants to do what's best for the people, but that this is too hard a case and the Empire can help. So it's that kind of like, is he following the rules because he's a rule follower and Lawson can get him to kind of like later be like, screw the rules kind of a thing? Or is he generally like an Empire sympathizer and think the Empire is going to, make the trains run on time and clean things up? And there's going to be more of a conflict there, because I definitely feel he's going to be the Lando Calrissian this season. Like, I feel like he is going to have a moment of turning on the Empire and helping his friends escape in some way, like Lando. I'm just not sure if it's going to be we just reprogram him, we give him different rules, or because he's going to be convinced the Empire is wrong.
I just, it's a good question because, it leads to a deeper question on droids in Star Wars, like how much free will do they all really have? Like, I think that you have like, 3PO has his protocol and is often like coerced into doing things. R2D2 and Chopper kind of do whatever the hell they want. But other droids like are bound. Even 3PO is bound by a certain level of programming. So like maybe it is hardwire programming that the Empire is good. Maybe it's like I don't know at what point can he overcome his programming as a droid? Like how much can like free will play into this versus like does does he have to be reprogrammed? Does he have to be and like it's interesting because they tried to hint at like when they're at ends and like Two Boots blocks the photo of him and Lawson with some stuff on his desk. I'm like, Two Boots has a photo of him and Lawson, so Two Boots must have some sort of like connection to Lawson. That kind of like how R2D2 has a quote unquote emotional connection to Anakin. I just don't like it's always hard to know like in a droid like where the programming ends and the quote unquote emotions begin.
Yeah. No, I think that's true. And I think like to me, R2D2 and Chopper are people who have a lot more freedom of thought than C3PO does. But even with C3PO, I feel like there's a difference between I can't impersonate a god, it wouldn't be proper, versus, or taking part in rebellion, is against my programming, versus I am physically unable of translating from Sith into Galactic Basic or whatever, and where does Two Boots is directed towards the Empire lie? We don't know. And I don't think we're going to get that fully explained and fleshed out, but I think it'd be interesting because do you agree with my theory that he's quite possibly going to be Orlando this season?
He could. I just don't know. Like that decision being made. Something has to happen with the programming, right? Because like, I mean, K2 makes crazy decisions because of his programming change. Do we even have any precedent for a droid just like fully changing and going rogue without a reprogramming? I feel like all the droids we know have been
C3PO says I can't impersonate a god, and Luke and Han convince him to. Like there are definitely times where he says, "This is my line, I can't cross it," but then they convince him to do otherwise. And granted, he thinks of Luke and Han as his masters, so like it might,
I don't know. I think it's like protocol droids are like really designed to like serve their master, whatever they say. Right. Astromechs are meant to be really free thinking because they have to like fix a ship in the middle of space and like think on their feet, kind of. I don't know what level of autonomy a police droid has, but if given enough, then yeah, I could totally see him being like making a choice to like let Lawson escape or the Jedi escape or going the other way and like screwing Lawson.
Yeah,
and the betrayal there.
And I think it's gonna be interesting. He doesn't call Lawson master. He doesn't have that kind of like. I think he is Lawson's subordinate, but the way like any other like lower person in the police force. At one point he says like, "I will respect your authority," in a way that is pretty damn insubordinate, but it's like very like, I'll do it. I don't believe in you, but I'll do it. So, all right. Well, those are the main things I wanted to hit. Any of the last details or plot lines you wanted to dive into?
I mean, I just wanted to give a little extra just desserts on that on the lightsaber duel between Taki Devin and Maul. I thought it was really well choreographed, really fun to watch. You know, I watching Maul fight is always just a treat. Just seeing the expansion of the dual lightsaber style, even through animation. And I just Devin seems very devoted to Daki. Daki, that's his name.
Yeah.
Um, but like you could see the anguish in her eyes, and like I think losing her very similar to Ventress, losing her master could just push her over the edge because she has lost everything.
Yeah.
And losing her master could be the final push needed to really bring her to the dark side. And I am very excited to see that happen. And I'm also honestly I'm very excited, Matthew, to see like where the next episode starts. The Empire getting involved on a new planet and kind of taking over will be I mean, I feel like we often see the Empire already existing on a planet. We don't get to see very often the Empire pull up to a planet early in the Clone War or early in the post Clone Wars era and just take over. We've seen it here and there, but it's just always interesting to see how quickly the authoritarian regime could just kind of set up shop and
Like we saw versions of it in Andor, but I think
yes.
seeing another different version of it would definitely be interesting.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm excited. I think the show has been again really, really engaging so far. And a truly worthy show. I know people were like, can Maul carry? Is this show going to be, like what could they possibly do with the character? I've been very impressed.
Yeah, me too. And I'll just say on what you said about the lightsaber fights, we've commented on this before, but especially when they fight in dark areas, the colors of the lightsaber become so definitional. Mm-hmm. And I think the fact that, when it's Devin and Daki, they're using their own lightsabers against Maul's double blade. But then when it was Devin and Maul is just toying with her. Like she's trying to kill him and Maul is just having fun. He literally has his hand behind his back. They both had red lightsabers. And just that, the number of times where her lightsaber was in front of her face, lighting up her face, showing you the anger, the rage, the dark side there. I can't say choreography because it's animated, but like just the way that they are setting up the scenes and telling the story with those visuals and using the color of the lightsaber blades to do that is just so well done and very impressive.
Yeah, I'm excited to see. I think there's going to be more fights in the coming days. I think next week we're going to get an Inquisitor fight, which I think is going to be really fun.
Looking forward to it. All right, well, listeners, what do you all think? What are your thoughts on this? Is Two Boots a snitch? Is he a narc? Is he something else? Should Lawson have joined up with Maul? Should Matthew be thrown in the brig for even thinking about these things? How are these lightsabers fights holding up to your favorites from whatever piece of Star Wars media that is? Let us know. Write to Matthew at theethicalpanda.com or go to our show notes or to theethicalpanda.com, and there you'll find all the ways to contact us. Let us know. We had some listener feedback for episode last week. We'd love some for the kind of deeper reflections we're going to do in a couple of days. This time it'll be me and AK Ahab having fun with that. So please let us know. Thank you all so much. Thank you all so much for listening. May the Force be with you.
Stay classy, Dathomir.
Why not?